everyone, welcome to the Peaceful Palette Art Lesson Series. I am Noelle Rollins. We are continuing our series today on the basic colored pencils versus the advanced colored pencils. We will be doing the lighter to skin shades in the advanced colored pencils today. We are going to be using this beautifully well-made set of colored pencils by Caran. It's a set of 20 Luminance set 6901. If you want to have exactly the pencils I'm using, where you can follow along color by color, this is the set I recommend. I will put the link to where you can get it in the description. I am not sponsored or affiliated by them. It's just a colored pencil that I use for my portraits, and I love them. So my whole point with this series is really showing how you can use the basic colored pencils to really achieve these rich portrait colors, and then also show how to take these more advanced colored pencils and layer them and use them to create beautiful skin tones. So here we begin. I'm using very light pressure. What I love about these pencils is that they just go on like butter. They're so smooth, and they have such good saturation to them. Now, some tricks, if you want to follow along here, you can draw your squares a little bit smaller, or just kind of make a light circle with your colored pencil and work at filling that in. Typically, when I'm actually doing skin tones, I do more of what I'm showing now, which is these circular motions. For sake of time, in this video, I'm doing a little bit more back and forth scribbling than I would ever do on a portrait. But that's simply for time's sake, to get all this in a video for you. That was color 68 that I started with. Now we will move into the deeper yellow, number 523. What you'll notice if you've been following along from the last set of videos where we did the basic colored pencils is we are able to achieve the richness of color we need with less layers. Partially due to just the quality of the colored pencil, and secondly, the different variety of colors we have, that we can jump right into some other colors that we need. So this is color 583. Sort of a violet pink color. It's funny, I got all the way through this entire swatch before I realized I had spelt fair wrong. So my apologies for that. So similar to how I did on the last few sets of swatches, I am going to make the upper left corner a little bit darker and show how you would do that when you're doing a portrait and you need areas darker. This is number 575, the darkest brown in the set. So often on the face, if you're working on a portrait, areas of the cheeks, areas under the chin line, eyebrows, areas around the nose, you're going to need to know how to make the same skin tone have highlights and lowlights. So that's what this is going to show here. And I'm using Not too much darker pressure up there, but a slight amount. Here we have with the bright red, number 580. And this just really comes in and adds some likeness into the portrait. What I like about working on little patches of different skin tones like this, it's a great way to practice how you prefer holding the pencil. Practice shading in different styles like I'm doing using the side here. See what works for you. At what angle you need to hold it to get a flat, even color where little marks from your pencil won't show up and things like that. So this is 581, I believe. Just kind of adding a white layer overall to this. Really burnishing those colors together. Mostly when I use white, I'm using a little bit of pressure there to come in and really darken up some areas. So now I'm here with the number 649, a deep blue. And actually you could also use 135, which is a pretty similar blue. One thing you'll find when you're doing colored pencils is you have to come in often and sharpen your pencils. Keep them very sharp. Here I'm coming in with the mineral spirits. And we're just gonna blend these colors together. This mineral spirit will break those binders down in the colored pencils and just allow them to blend into the paper, blend into each other. You suddenly don't see any of the white through the paper behind it. And get this smooth, beautiful skin tone. At this point, if you're using mineral spirits, you can add a little bit of accents on top. Sometimes I'll do freckles or different things at this point. If you're using rubbing alcohol, that works great as well. But you do not want to touch the paper until it's fully dry again. So about 15 minutes. Or the paper can tend to rip. So here we are with the medium to olive skin tone. We're going to use the exact same order for the most part. So starting off here with 68, a peachish skin tone color. We're using very light pressure. With colored pencils, it's really nice. For the most part, you just let the colored pencil do the work for you. Most of the time, you don't need to use a lot of pressure. You can just build up the colors. And then you learn how to use the pressure strategically. And there's even things you can do like scrape color away then. Go in there and carve back out some little details. If you have to do them really thick, you can come in with the mineral spirits and break some of that down and then have that darker surface that's ready to receive more color on top of it. Here we are with that darker of the two yellows, 523. Again with this violet pink, 583. In this kit, it's pretty similar to 94, which is hibiscus pink. Either one will do the job. You can experiment if you want with what the different results are. if you choose. Mostly we just want to get a muted pinkish purplish base mixed within there without it being too vibrant. When you're so into the art, you don't notice the spelling. It's funny, I wrote a book a few years ago all about the process of losing my mom and just finding myself again and the signs I had gotten from her, and just, it's an uplifting book, even though it was a really tough subject. But I'd always joked that I wrote the book like an artist would. It's full of more the focus on the emotions and the feelings. But even with that, typos were never part of the game. It's more just the style. So I had to laugh that I had a typo in this. All right, so this is the red. Just very light pressure here. On this swatch, I'm going to do that upper right corner a little bit darker. Red is such a great tool when you're doing the lighter skin tones. If you strategically can really show and make it look like this real flush to the skin, these little blood vessels. When I use little tiny round strokes and circles, it can just give this blushed feeling to the skin tone. So here we're going to come in with a green. Change it up just a little bit here. Give more of that olive tone. This is color 212. Just really light. I always say that greens and blues are tough in skin tones. You just have to start with the lightest pressure possible and work your way up. You don't want to give it a bruising effect, or green can start to have that healing bruises look. So we use it really light to just imply that olivey tone to the skin. So you can already start to see this difference between the fair, paler skin into this beautiful medium olive skin. So we're coming in with that dark blue again. 135 or 649 will work. I believe I'm using 649 here. And again, really light. I'm using Bristol board paper. It's really smooth. It has a little tooth to it still to pick up the colored pencil. What you'll notice is as you experiment with different types of paper, the sort of texture of the paper will show through with the colored pencils. And that can work for you or against you. So as this is the brown here, number 575. As you're learning and experimenting for the look you want for different situations, play around a little bit with everything from watercolor paper, which can be fantastic, and the different types of cold press versus hot pressed, and then the Bristol boards, drawing pads. See what you prefer for the look you want. Some of these art stores you can walk in and buy a sheet at a time. Others you can commit to a small sketchbook or drawing pad of that type until you really get your bearings and find your style a little bit. So now we're coming in with the bright orange. It is number 533. Now the terracotta, which is a similar feel, just a little more muted. My hope is, in doing this series, is you can start to see we're using, for the most part, the same colors layered up until a certain point. And then you can see how to layer more colors on to achieve just some different tones within the skin. So here I'm taking the brush and the mineral spirits. You can also use a cotton swab if that's what you have. I prefer odorless mineral spirits, but you can get them at art stores or hardware stores. You'll see here, this mineral spirit can kind of move the color around, so you have to be careful not to rub the color out where you want it, or start in the darkest areas and rub it into the light, because that cannot be what you want either. So you'll see here I kind of go in and work to clean that up to really give this blended look and not brush strokes. So kind of circular motions there. And already you can start to see the difference between these two skin tones. In the next video, our final of the 4, we're going to do these beautiful deeper brown skin tones and show how to continue this process and layer in to make these darker, beautiful tones. So I hope you'll join me for that. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, please, so other people will find it. And I hope you have a really wonderful day and week. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.